Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching FOODCASTER. How you doing? I'm Michael7Michael. You're watching FOODCASTER, everything about having a relationship with food. And today we have Sam Eats Plants. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
So Sam, we're getting older, allegedly.
I guess time only goes one direction in this dimension.
But that also means there are friends and family that are also getting older.
Yes.
So let's talk about nutrition in reference to our friends and family that are aging.
Well,
Let's use the word elderly.
so elderly
Okay.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
First of all, is it any different
slightly.
than our own?
Overall, not too many differences, but there are slight differences because your
Okay.
body needs something different. So when you're born, your brain and your body go through the most rapid growth from the womb to 3 years old.
Okay.
And so there's so many cells duplicating during that growth. And so besides nutrition, there's other things to think about. Like you don't want to be around radiation, phones, radios, TVs even too much, certain strong lights, telephone poles, things like that, because there's too many rapidly multiplying cells. And if there's too many X-rays or gamma rays or microwaves that are hitting them,
Wow.
then that's that's cancer. But as you get to a certain age, we stop rapidly multiplying our cells, and somewhere around the early 30s ish, a lot of us will have the same amount of cells for a very, 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 very long time. Now, so the food and nutrition requirements of someone who's like a child or adolescence ends up being higher in some places than people who are just like 40, because you don't need as much to maintain, but you need a whole lot to grow.
Okay.
And you think of anyone who's into the gym and into working out, anyone who's like a bodybuilder, they understand. It takes so much time to grow. It takes so much work to eat enough to grow. Same thing. So now if you're an elderly person, it starts to reverse. You don't even really need maintenance. It's like it almost benefits you to really not eat much. And if you look at appetites of a lot of elderly people, it's tiny. It's like half a toast with tea. You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. So I hear so many people say, "Oh, I gotta eat. I gotta have my 3 to even 5 meals a day." That's not true as you get older.
But that's not true, I don't think, at any point. But that's neither here nor there. No, that's not true at any point. That's too much in our system to eat so many times a day. I know in the fitness world, I used to be a personal trainer. You 5 small meals, 6 small meals a day. You have a rapid metabolism, and there's truth to that. The problem is when you speed up your metabolism, you speed up aging. So you also start.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. If you're going to speed up the processes of your body, then you're shortening the time that you'll be here.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, that's true too, because even the heart has a certain amount of power, a certain amount of beats.
So they say, yeah.
So they say.
Yeah.
That it's designated, this is how long you're going to live.
Or this is the longest.
Or the longest.
Yes, not how long, because remember, a lot of things we do curtail our life.
Okay.
But
so it's like a battery, and a battery has, this battery is for 5 years, this battery, same concept. But if you misuse the battery.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as it becomes damaged and you're losing less and less. And there's lots of things that we do that damage lots of organs in our body. And so what our potential is for life expectancy, I'm not sure, but I think it's around 120, if I'm really honest. I think naturally that's where our real life expectancy could be.
Okay.
But we do too much to damage ourselves. So eating kind of once a day or 2 times kind of close together in a day, I believe is probably the most advantageous for longevity, if that's your goal, longevity. Okay. No, it will not increase your metabolism.
Okay.
But if you're eating only real foods, you don't have a metabolic issue.
Gotcha.
And metabolism is more than I'll say being skinny, because I think people put in their heads
that's the first thing I think about. Metabolism is just breaking down.
And metabolism is every process. That is how your endocrine system works. It's how your respiratory system works. Like it's how food goes into your cells, how it's used and how it's expelled. Like all of that is metabolism. All that is metabolic function. So when you speed up metabolism, you speed up all your functions.
Wow.
The use of steroids, whether people use them to try to get big or for life-saving reasons, or for quality of life reasons, steroids do the same thing.
Okay.
That is how people who bodybuild get bigger faster. It's not that it makes you strong. Because we may know people who are on prednisone, which is a really big steroid, or cortisol shots, or whatever. It's not that they're getting big. They're just speeding up processes. They're trying to speed up certain healing things.
So by doing that, you're taking away your life expectancy.
Yes, and that's what happens to bodybuilders, along with other stuff. So I'm not trying to say it's only steroids.
Right.
But steroid-using bodybuilders will have a very shortened life expectancy.
How old? Do you know?
Yes.
How?
Yes,
You should know, right? You're a trainer.
I used to be a trainer.
Right.
The life expectancy of professional bodybuilders is like 56 years old.
That's not good enough for me.
Yeah, it's really low.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am not going to be a bodybuilder. I was thinking about it, but now I'm not going to do it.
No, Michael, no. Just don't use steroids.
Oh, okay.
Don't use steroids.
Man, now I got to work out.
Yeah. And then you build slower. The reason why bodybuilders can get faster on steroids is because, okay, so you know when we work out and we're sore, and especially we work out hard and we haven't worked out in a while, then we're sore like 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
Okay.
If you're on steroids and all your metabolic processes are sped up, you're not sore the next day because you already healed so quickly. So you can work out that same body part again.
Okay.
The steroids don't make you big. It just takes away the lag time of healing.
So how does that relate to the elderly when they...
So if you're elderly, let's say that's over, depending on the person, let's say over 65, you want to try to keep as much going inside you as long as possible. So you don't want anything sped up. You actually want things to like taper down. Okay. So things like caffeine speeds up metabolic function.
So they shouldn't be eating any...
I'm not saying they shouldn't, they can. You just have to understand everything that food does for you. Also, they should eat way less. Most elderly people have a small appetite, and it's natural. We will go through that. We get to a point where our reproductive systems do not do what they need to do anymore. We do not have to rapidly multiply our cells anymore. All these happen so we can just like chill and we don't have to do much. That means you don't have to eat as much.
Okay.
Sometimes some older people will say, oh, I think I need to eat more because I'm only eating this and this. And
right.
like, your body's not changing for a reason because you're eating sufficiently for where you are. Like, let it ride, keep it going. Like, that's what you need right now.
So don't fight it.
No.
Those natural changes are natural positive changes.
For the most part. And you know, everybody's different, and I don't know people's backgrounds and what food habits they had and what they brought into their geriatric age.
Okay.
But in natural world, as you get up past 60-something, your metabolism slows down incredibly for a reason. If you're going to eat, if you're going to force yourself to eat more than you want to eat, whether it's more times a day or more in one sitting, then you're increasing your metabolism.
Wow, which again shortens your life expectancy.
So when you also look at some of the longest living people who live, octogenarians and above, octogenarians.
114, 110.
Sure.
These are happening.
110. They
this
exist.
is happening.
And it happens randomly, but in certain areas and certain people, it happens at what we think are odd rates. Like, why are there so many people living to 100 over here?
Right.
And so many really healthy individuals are over 80.
What they're eating, the amount of what they're eating,
when
and
they
consistent exercise.
Something like that. When they break down what some of these people are eating, they tend to eat around 1,500 calories a day, which is what we consider low. Because if you look at anything that the USDA says, they kind of have this like random average of 2,000 calories a day. Like, kind of like, that's kind of normal-ish if I try to think of everybody.
Right.
But in these communities, it's like 1,500 calories a day. And as they get older, it's actually less. So 1,500 is like a grown man.
Wow.
In these communities. But they're also eating real food, too. And I don't think they need to eat as many calories because the nutrition is more dense and they get more of that. And they move more. And so in a real natural world, we wouldn't have to eat as much. If you're elderly, you can still have your vigor. And what is supposed to happen as we die is then a shortened, rapid decline. That's really what should happen.
Okay.
Not this kind of like dying slowly over 30 years that we're now used to in our culture.
Right, yeah.
Where people are like, oh, this broke down. Oh, now I have high blood pressure. Now I have this heart issue. And they're doing this for like decades. They really should be like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. You're 100 and something. And then like, oh, things are happening. And then like within 2 years, then you go.
Wow.
Or less.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So what about this whole thing of losing weight? When people get older, they tend to lose weight. And some people have this fear, oh my goodness, you're losing so much weight.
A lot of them lose weight because they are not eating as much because they don't need as much. That's one thing we have to think about, too. We already have messed up. We look at people's bodies with an altered lens because we're in the biggest nation on the planet, right? We have the most overweight people, the most obese people. What we consider normal, I reckon, isn't normal. I reckon it's bigger than we're supposed to be. When I look at pictures of my family when they were teenagers and in their 20s, it's what we would consider skinny. Honestly, when I look at like...
That's true.
When I look at movies from like the 70s, all those men were slender. They were slender. And that's the 70s in America.
Wow.
So really what is our size? So if these older people are getting to this place where they're eating less
right,
and they're losing weight, and then we're concerned because we're losing weight, it's like, no, I'm concerned that you're not. Like, really, what direction should the concern be? That's not the real concern. Our concern, I'll give you the opposite, an opposite thought. So we have this idea that the bigger, the better the baby, right? Like, oh, good, big, fat, and chubby. Oh, what a healthy baby.
right.
Where? Why? Where in your mind is there not a limit to how big a baby should be? And why is that? It's cultural.
Right.
It's cultural why we believe this. So if you look at numbers from the 1970s to today, the body fat percentage of babies 6 months to 1 year old has doubled. Okay,
wow.
And we're talking about babies who don't walk, so it's not like they're not exercising enough. No, they're being fed crap. How is it, like really think about that. From the 70s to today, the body fat percentage of babies 6 months to 12 months has doubled. That's crazy. And yet people, when babies are small, think there's something wrong. You got to fatten them up. Or maybe you need to add formula. Breast milk's not doing it enough. We have no idea what babies are supposed to look like. We have no idea. Our lenses are all screwed. I think it's the same thing for the elderly. We don't know what it's supposed to look like. A cup of soup and a little cup of rice later. Like that will keep an 85-year-old for the day. Like, I just had some yogurt. I just had this little cup of soup. I just need some rice. They're good. It's not even too little. They're fine.
But you could eat that now, just as an adult now.
I think, in theory, one could eat that now at my age, but I do too much.
Okay.
We don't live a natural life where, like, people are just running around, they're stressed. Like, all this stuff adds to our appetite. So, a small bowl of rice.
Oh, by the way, they're doing construction.
We're just going to go to the rhythm of it.
We're just going to go to the rhythm.
Yeah.
The rhythm of the night.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day.
Rhythm of the night, the barge. Okay. A small cup of rice, a small cup of soup, and a thing of yogurt could probably keep me if I have a cold. I think on a regular day, I want more food than that.
Okay.
I think. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I mean, I know how I eat. But no, it's all right for them. Here's another thing, talking about elderly people, because this just happened this morning. The idea of, like, old people. going to the doctors and doctors finding things. Okay, so one of the things that the longest living people in America have in common, like when they ask these older people, what's your life like? What's your secret? You know, they all say things. But one of the things that like are kind of across the board is they don't go to doctors.
Wow.
They either don't go to doctors or barely ever went to doctors. And I'm going to tell you why that is. Because I promise you, if we go to doctor for no reason and tell them, let's do a full body blood panel, let's do x-rays, MRI, CAT scan, let's do it. Like you and me right now, like our age right now, let's go. They're going to find stuff. They're going to. Because there's always something off. Usually our body can figure it out and regulate it. But once a professional sees it, then it's like, oh, it's their duty to regulate it for us without thinking about the wisdom that the body has to do itself. So if you take that out, and you typically are not going to doctors, then it's not like they never had an issue. They just had issues that were never seen, and their issues fixed themselves in time.
That's the hard part, because if you don't, I'm just playing the other side to it, you need to know what's going on.
No,
and if you don't have a relationship with your body and don't know,
you don't need to know what's going on. What you need to do, this is what you need to do. If I don't feel like there's something wrong, if I'm sleeping fine, if I'm waking up fine, if I'm productive fine, if my hair's not falling out, it's not going dry, it's not going oily, my eyesight's not rapidly declining, I don't have a reason to go. Go when a reason presents itself. The nature of well visits, or when you're a child, well baby visits, is a new concept. It's a monetary concept. People would go to doctors when they saw an issue was coming, an issue's arising, this is happening.
And to be fair for anyone watching this and saying, what are you talking about? Again, no one's saying don't ever go to the doctor. I want to be very clear.
I'm just talking history.
But also, I've noticed overseas, I met a lot of people that didn't go to the doctor that often. They would only go when
they had an issue.
When there was an issue, not just to go.
It's a cultural thing.
Okay.
Going to doctors like every year, that's cultural. We've ingrained it into like that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So there's so many offshoots of this topic. But my point is that's part of the reason why some of these people end up living very long is because a lot of the things that did arise were never seen and their body took care of it. And they didn't even know.
Right.
They never noticed. So I'll give you another example. There are 3 elderly people in my recent life who they go to the doctor for whatever reason and there's a spot on my pancreas.
Okay.
Right? Okay. A spot can mean a lot of things, but of course a spot's like, oh my God, it's cancer. So once you're elderly, so many of the hormones that kind of can like really fuel cancer, they're like totally sleepy. They're not coursing through your body like that. Tumor has issues growing in an elderly body.
Okay.
It just does. So, if an 80-something-year-old finds a spot in their pancreas, I mean, there's 3 in my life right now, finds a spot in their pancreas. One of the person in my life is not doing anything about it because he knows. He also he knows medical stuff. He's not doing anything. The other one worried and just kept getting tested and kept getting tested and kept getting tested and whatever.
And that worry causes stress.
That's the other
Chemical
thing.
releases in the body because you're worrying.
That's the other thing.
And it's also making real things happen.
And that's shortening your life because you're worried.
Because you're worried.
Because you found that.
Right.
There was a very prominent YouTuber, so I'm just going to repeat the story. Whether it's completely true or not, I don't know. I'm going to just repeat the story that he had put on YouTube. Okay. His father, 83 or 81 years old, riding bike. So you already know if there's an 80-year-old riding a bike, he's pretty good, right? He's riding his bike. This is an Australian man, so he's in Australia. He got into a bike accident.
Okay.
So because of the bike accident, he went to the hospital to get checked out.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
You should do that.
When they checked him out, they found a small tumor on, I forget, I don't know if it was his prostate or somewhere. So the son was saying, Dad, you're so active. Don't. And the guy's like, no. So he did the stuff that the hospital told him to do for that cancer, and he was dead in 6 weeks.
Wow.
So, I know that he probably would be alive longer than those 6 weeks, I'll say that, had he not gone, because the way that cancers work, especially when you're an elderly, they are really hard to grow, because you don't have the fuel to really grow it unless you're just like around a lot of radiation,
so
chemicals in the air.
When they did the chemo, all the other stuff,
they killed him.
The
chemo killed him.
Wow.
And especially because he's older. When you're older, you have a harder time to heal. You have a lower immune system. So when they find something like that, and you're elderly, I mean, you can really do what you want, but you don't have to worry. There's
a research in China that they looked at a whole bunch of, I think they focused on men of a certain age.
So it's Japan. It was Japan, and they took male cadavers, like dead bodies. Mm-hmm. They took male cadavers, and they dissected them all just to look around. Not even to look for something in particular, but to look around and see what's going on. And they found in 81% of these bodies, they had prostate cancer.
Right.
But they didn't die from it.
Right.
They just had it.
It is the same one. Awesome.
Yes.
So this is amazing.
So I say all that to say with elderly people in health, like, it's different. It is different.
Ooh, before we go, Alzheimer's. This is a big thing.
Decline of mental cognitive function. Yes.
Yes.
Along with dementia, it's kind of one and the same. To be honest, even the nervous system stuff like Parkinson's and Huntington's, those are not associated with being older. It's kind of part and parcel of the same thing. There was a study done where they found a lot of undigested protein in the brains of people with Alzheimer's, also in the brains of people with schizophrenia.
Oh, wow.
And so one theory, I haven't found a study, but one theory is to not consume complete proteins because their body wasn't breaking it down properly, and so the incomplete proteins were just floating, and then I guess in these bodies, and the ones that end up having Alzheimer's or dementia, they go into the brain and start messing.
So this is too much protein.
Yeah. I mean, if you ask me, all of us have too much protein, but particularly undigested proteins, which means at one point it was the long chain complete protein that's in meat and dairy versus the small amino acids that are in plants, which are already like kind of small. So there's not much to digest.
Gotcha.
And so, people have run this theory of like, okay, well, if you put them on a plant-based diet, can it diminish their degeneration? And it's a viable question, but if a study's done, it's being done right now, but I haven't seen one.
Gotcha.
But that's one thing. The other thing is aluminum. So there's a link to aluminum and dementia and Alzheimer's.
Aluminum foil.
Aluminum pots and pans that a lot of people from certain countries use.
Wow.
Including our countries.
Wow. A lot of people cook with aluminum. And also deodorants that have aluminum with them.
Yeah, all of that. So there's that correlation too.
Wow.
And then also, we can be honest with ourselves and understand that we don't have to have a certain segment of the population, and this percentage has Alzheimer's and dementia, and we're going to have to just deal with it, because if you look at other areas where it almost doesn't exist, all we have to do is look and see, well, what are they doing? And then copy.
Right.
Yeah.
Be humble.
Ha! Sit down.
I'm just saying. There's, I mean, again, my time away, people don't go, specifically Ukraine, people don't go to the doctor like that. Like every 5 minutes, something's wrong. And
almost any other country.
Yeah.
It's truly an American thing to just go just because you're 10 now. Like if you go back to kids, and I have children.
Do you get the emails? Oh.
What emails?
Oh, the calls. That you haven't been in here for a while.
Oh, I don't think I get the calls because I haven't gone to these things. I'm not in any system.
You're not on the system.
I'm not on any radar. I was realizing with my kids, because people were like, oh, did you do the 3-month visit? Did you do the 6-month visit? I don't know why it took me until he was damn near 1. But all of a sudden it hit me, 1.5. I was like, what am I doing here? All they're doing is weighing him and measuring him.
And saying, is everything okay?
I can do that at home. And then I stopped going.
I do feel good about getting the blood work just to make sure.
Blood work is cool. Blood work is cool.
But in general, I don't go that often.
I like blood work done. I haven't had blood work done in a while, and I want to get it done. I love to see where I am, so I know how to adjust my own lifestyle. I think that's
through
great.
food and exercise.
Yeah, but I'm not going just to and then having them like press on my stomach and I say, "Ow!" They're like, "This hurts. Why does it hurt? Let's do this biopsy." I'm not doing that. That's how it happens. Right. True story. I might have said this story before.
Go for it.
Someone saw that I had low iron. A doctor, a professional.
Oh yes.
I did say the story. And basically said you're gonna like have a fallout on the ground and bleed out, and your kids are not gonna have a mother. And I'm looking at her like, this bedside manner is awful. Right. But she said you need to take iron supplements. You gotta do this, and I'm like, I know I don't because I don't have any symptoms of anemia. 2 weeks later, when I go back follow up, my iron went from a 6, which is low, to a 14, which is 1 point away from being too high. Because I knew what to do. I just ate way more. She tried to tell me to eat meat. I said, I'm not doing that. Right. I ate way more greens, a lot more kale. I put all this lemon and lime on stuff to make the iron more absorbable with the vitamin C. And I got it to where it's too high. And I say this story to say, that's how easy it is to manipulate a lot of different factors of your blood work. You don't have to go to a supplement if you care enough to do the food work. If you don't care enough to do the food work, then you have to take supplements for sure, because then you can get sick. But for me, 2 weeks from a 6 to 14. Really? I had to take iron supplements? Oh, look like I didn't.
Tell everybody your social media.
You can find me at Sam Eats Plants, talking the talk, doing it too.
Talking the talk. And living it, because you actually do eat plants.
I do.
Which I think is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm Michael7 Michael. You're watching Foodcaster. You can check us out on Instagram, The Real Foodcaster. And thank everyone for checking us out. If you know anyone that this might help, share it with them. If you have any opinions, any comments, let us know. If you're watching this on cable, awesome. If you're watching this online, awesome. Thank you very much. You're watching Foodcaster.